Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, today we're going to do another episode of Bytes and Nibbles with Breck. Today we're going to actually revisit a recipe I did about a year or so ago. You may recall this one where I made my cream of mushroom and wild rice and chicken soup. And if you remember that vlog, you remember that one of the difficult parts about this is that it took an enormous amount of time to do it because you had to cook the wild rice for about 24 hours to get it right. Well, I've been playing around with the Instant Pot a lot lately, and I've discovered that I can get that same results on the wild rice in about an hour in the Instant Pot. So I want to try remaking the thing today in the Instant Pot, and I think I can get the preparation time down to about 2 hours. So this is going to be kind of interesting. I'm not exactly sure what's going to come out, but we'll figure this out together. Let's get going. So just for review, here are the ingredients once again for our cream of mushroom, chicken, and wild rice soup. And basically it's going to be 4 cans of Campbell's cream of mushroom soup, 4 chicken breasts. Remember I went to Costco a while back and bought a whole bunch of meat. Well, we're going to use some of that today. I got some sliced white mushrooms that we're going to throw in there, some Minnesota wild rice, and salt and pepper to taste. Now you may recall that I referred to this little handy dandy instant guide that came with my Instant Pot numerous times to figure out how to prepare vegetables and the likes. And it does have a option down here for wild rice. But I tried doing that once and found that this particular mixture wasn't exactly right. It says that you cook it for 20 to 25 minutes and you use a 1 to 2 water to rice ratio. So if you have 1 cup of wild rice, you use 2 cups of water. I found out that doesn't work very well. That just isn't enough water. Maybe they have a different type of wild rice than I'm using. You know, I've got a long grain wild rice. But what I've discovered is the wild rice I've used absorbs an enormous amount of water. And so what I've been doing is about a 10 to 1 water to rice ratio. So if you have 1 cup of water or 1 cup of rice, you're going to have 10 cups of water. Also, 20 to 25 minutes doesn't cut it. You need about an hour. So that's the first thing we're going to do is we're going to prepare our wild rice. Now I just pulled the chicken breasts out of the freezer, so they're still a little bit frozen, so we're not going to be able to get to that for a little bit, but I got to spend a little time getting that rice ready anyway. So we're going to prepare the rice ahead of time, and once we get that cooked, that can sit as long as it needs to until we're ready to throw everything else in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a cup of wild rice, and you remember my formula was for every 1 cup or every 1 unit of wild rice, you're going to use 10 units of water. So I'm going to put 1 cup of wild rice into the Instant Pot, and we're going to add 10 cups of water. There's 4 cups, there's 8 cups, and 10 cups. Then we're going to put our lid on the Instant Pot and lock it down into place. And we're going to do just like we would with steaming, although we're not going to steam, it's going to be just a pressure cook. So I'm going to hit steam. We're going to set the clock for 60 minutes. Pressure's already on high, so I don't need to do anything with that. And we're going to turn off the keep warm at the end. So that'll take a second, and that will start cooking, and it'll start heating up the water in there. And once we get up to pressure and the pressure is built, it'll pressure cook for an hour, and then we're going to naturally release. So we'll come back in an hour and see what's up. Now, in addition to preparing the rice in the Instant Pot, I'm actually going to try and do the whole thing in the Instant Pot. Part of the process is you want to kind of saute the chicken a little bit before you put it into the mixture. And since I've been able to saute other meat in there in the Instant Pot, I'm going to use the same thing to do this. So, like I said, the goal here is not only just to prepare the rice and the whole concoction in 2 hours, but I want to do everything in the Instant Pot too, so I don't have a whole bunch of stuff to clean up. Alright, an hour has passed, the timer went off, and I'm doing a quick release of the pressure here. So let's take a look at what our rice looks like. So even while it's venting, I can smell the smell of wild rice. It smells good. Oh yeah, that looks good. That looks like wild rice. Definitely. That's much better. It would have taken me 12 to 18 hours to get it to look like that just by boiling it without the pressure cooker. So this is definitely ready. Now I got to spend a little bit more time getting the chicken to thaw out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse this. I'm going to put it into a colander, kind of rinse it with fresh water. And then I'm going to put it in another pot and just kind of store it in water for a while until we're ready for the rest of it. So wild rice tends to have a little bit of residue from when it was grown in it. You know, it isn't generally as sterile and as clean as like packaged rice. So you generally want to kind of rinse it a little bit just to make sure you get everything off of it. But this is going to look really good. This is going to be yummy. Now this is actually the plastic container I'm going to actually store the finished product in when I'm done, but right now I just need to park the rice somewhere so that I can use the Instant Pot to prepare the rest of the stuff. So I'm just going to store the rice in here a little bit. I've covered it up with water just to keep it moist, and it will continue to absorb the water a little bit while we do this. Alright, so we got our chicken breasts all thawed out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this up into little chunks, probably ½ inch, ¾ inch chunks, just kind of a mouthful. You know, you want to have nice bits of chunks of chicken in there, and if you cut it up too small, then it's not going to be a nice nice chunk. And if you cut it too big, then you're gonna have to end up cutting it before you can eat it. So like I said, just gonna cut it up into small chunks, and then we're just gonna put it in this bowl and we're gonna put it aside for a while. Okay, so I've cut my chicken up into nice little bite-sized chunks, and what I'm going to do now is we're just going to cook it in the Instant Pot. We're going to put the Instant Pot in saute mode, like we've done a few times before. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil at the front end, and we're just going to kind of mix this up and stir this in until it's all nice and cooked. Mental note to myself, I need some more olive oil. We're just going to put about a tablespoon of olive oil in there. Don't need a whole lot. And then we're going to press the saute button. And the saute button is right there. And we'll just let that heat up for a minute before we add the chicken. And then we're just going to get in there with a wooden spoon and just kind of mix it all in until the meat's nice and white. Alright, a couple minutes have passed. We got the meat kind of nice and white now. It's kind of how it should look. I've added a little salt and pepper too, just for flavoring. And I think we're pretty much there. Now normally you might think you want to drain because there's like a little juice in there, but I think I'm actually going to leave that in there because that'll just mix in with the mushroom soup, and I think that'll add to the flavor a little bit. So I think the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to mix in the mushroom soup. Now normally with condensed soup like this, you mix 1 can of soup with 1 can of water, but since we're going to be adding the wild rice, and the wild rice tends to absorb a little bit of the water, I'm actually going to add 5 cans of water instead of 4. I think that'll be better. And like I said, if it gets a little too runny, you can always cook it a little bit and boil off some of the water. So we got the water in there, and I'm just going to kind of mix it in real good right now. I know it doesn't look really yummy, it looks kind of gross right now, but trust me, it'll get there, and it's going to look good at the end. Now I've still got it in saute mode, because I'm going to use that to kind of heat this up to a boil a little bit, and then once we get it heated up and cooked, then we're going to add salt and pepper to get the spice level just right, and then we'll add the mushrooms and the wild rice, and we'll cook it under pressure for a while. Alright, now we brought it up to a boil. I'm just going to do a little taste test now, make sure we got the flavoring right. We're going to salt and pepper it to taste, and we'll go from there. Alright, so I've added my salt and pepper to my personal taste. Didn't add a whole lot of salt. Actually put a fair amount of pepper in there. I like my, you know me, I like to have my food bite me back a little bit. So I think this is about a good base. Now I'm going to mix in my wild rice and my mushrooms, and we're going to pressure cook it for a while. Alright, so we got everything in there, just going to kind of mix it all in together. Mushrooms will get a little bit better when they'll sink a little bit as they heat up. And they'll get nice and soft, and this is going to be really yummy. I can tell already. Now I'm kind of watching something a little closer than I did last time I used this Instant Pot. You may recall a few weeks ago that I cooked split pea soup in here. I didn't really show this on the video, probably should appear in the blooper reel or something like that. But I put a little bit too much in the pot. If you look, there's a little mark on the side here. It says you don't want to get any more than that. And I went above that a little bit. And it didn't seem to be a problem when it was cooking, but when it vented, I literally had like a volcano of split pea soup spraying out of this thing, and then I ended up having to clean the door and the walls and the ceiling because there was split pea soup all over this place. So keep an eye on that little maximum mark on there. Don't put more in there than you should. I would normally maybe make a double batch of this, but because of that problem before, I didn't do that this time. So like I said, the little mark is right about there, so I'm about an inch under that. I should be fine. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the lid back on it, lock it shut, and we are going to put it in steam mode, and we're going to set the timer down to about 30 minutes. I think that'll be enough for this. We'll give it a shot. We'll see what it's like when it comes out, and we'll go from there. See you in 30 minutes. Alright, 30 minutes has passed. Let's try and vent this and see if we have a mushroom soup geyser. Nope, looks like it's working fine this time. Good deal. I really wish YouTube had a smell function because it smells really good. So I just took a little taste test of this. This is really good. It turned out good. I'm very happy with it. I'm not going to do the on-camera taste test like I a lot of times do because, one, you've seen me eat this before and nobody really wants to watch me eat, right? So there you go. This works. It took, in this case, including all the prep time, probably about 2 hours to do this. So that's definitely an improvement over the 36 plus hours that I've had to use in the past. So definitely worth the time. It is a little bit runnier than normal, so maybe maybe I don't have to put in as much water in the future. I have to admit, maybe when you're cooking it for 36 hours, maybe you boil off a little bit more than normal, but that's okay. This is still really, really tasty, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. So I'm going to go pack this away. We're going to have a little of this for dinner, and then we're going to put the rest of this in deep freeze, and we'll come back to it. So that is all I think that I have for today. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.